Today I'm going to be wishing on Raiden's banner as I'm hoping to get her C2. However, that will really depend on how lucky I am, as not only do I have a limited wishes saved up, but I'm also working with a very small budget. Currently, I have C0 Raiden, which makes things a little easier. Now I just need to get 2 more copies of her. As for my current Primo Gem situation, I have about 40 wishes in both Primo Gems and Masterless Glitter, which I've been saving up since the start of Natlands. However, this is where things get a little bit interesting, as I did end up caving in and doing a few 10 pulls on Melania's banner, which led me to get an early 5-star 30 pity in. Unfortunately, I didn't get Melania and I instead got Kaching. However, it could have been worse. I could have gone to Nard. Now, the only reason why I say that is because he's a standard banner character that I had picked from the anniversary selector, as he was the only standard 5-star character that I had yet to get. So it would have just sucked that I ended up getting him here, as then I basically wasted the selector, as I could have gotten a constellation for a different character. However, at the end of the day, it's still sad that I ended up losing my 50-50, but now I'm guaranteed for C1 Raiden. Though my wishings didn't stop at the 50-50. I did end up gambling between a guaranteed Melania and Raiden. However, unlike Kaching, Melania didn't end up coming home early. So even though that I have about 40-ish wishes, I'm rolling on a guarantee and I have about 30 wishes in pity. So let's see if those wishes are enough to get me to C1, or if I'm going to have to open up my wallet before I start wishing for C2. Because even though that Raiden C1 is guaranteed, her C2 isn't. Now, as far as 4 stars that I would like to get, I would like to be able to C6 my Chevreuse, as I think I have her at C2 right now. As for Kujo Sara, I would like to be able to get her to C6 as well, as I currently have her at C3. However, I would rather get C6 Chevreuse over Sara, as Chevreuse enables a better and stronger overload team, whereas Sara really only buffs Raiden. Though there's one character that I absolutely don't need, which is Toma, as I already have him at C6. However, at least if I get him, I end up getting enough Masterless Glitter to have another wish, which can help, but I'd much rather build up my other characters instead of getting a wish refund. Now, you might be wondering, why am I not rolling for Kaniche? Especially as I might have enough to get to 2 characters. Why go all in for Raiden? Well, it's because of a few reasons. One, Raiden only gets rerun once a year, whereas Kaniche will most likely get a rerun before the end of Natland. When? Who knows? But it'll most likely happen, unless he becomes the new Risley who is yet to have his first rerun. Given that fact, it makes sense to go for Raiden, as Kaniche will most likely get a rerun before her, which means I'll have another chance to get him. But that's even if I wanted him in the first place, which leads me to my second point. I'm not a huge fan of his character, kit, animations, and design. Now granted, I am a bit biased as I am gay, so of course, I'm not going to be the biggest fan of the male characters. So there's that, but besides that, I felt like the whole pixelated look that he has going on feels like it doesn't really match Genshin's vibe. Also, I'm a bit skeptical of the new characters from the new region, with a big part of the reason why I pull for the characters that I pull is because I enjoy their character. I enjoy the role they play within the story, and of course, when we enter a new region, it takes a little time to get to know the characters. Because of that, I tend to not pull for the new characters right away, and instead invest into other characters that are rerunning alongside them. This was the exact same thing that had happened when Fontaine came out. Most of the Fontaine characters that were released in the first few patches, like Lenny, Novelette, and Farina, I ended up getting on their reruns. Between Melania and Kaniche, I'm a bit more of a fan of Melania, which is the reason why I ended up risking pulling on her banner, even though that I was saving up for Raiden, is that I didn't mind if I got an early Melania, and ended up having a few less rolls for Raiden. However, that didn't happen. Now, I did have to open up my wallet in order to bring Raiden home, as despite having almost 70 wishes in both Primo Gems and Pity, being the extra Masterless Glitter that I ended up getting from the wishes, and even speedrunning an event that I had yet to start, it still wasn't enough, because she decided to come home at 85 pity. Yay. At least this wasn't a 50-50 and she was in fact guaranteed. And oh boy, it would have sucked spending 85 wishes and not even get the character that you wanted. Now here comes the challenging part. Getting her C2. As in all honesty, I don't have $300+ to put down on her banner at this point in time. So what I'm planning on doing is getting up to the 50-50 and see if I get Raiden or not. If I get her, perfect. I'll stop right there as I need to start start saving up for the banners in 5.1, as I might be getting a few characters during that patch. And this is where things get just a tad bit complicated. If I don't get her on her 50/50, then it's basically a coin toss, as I'll take the rest of the patch to try and scrape together as many primo gems as I can. However, I am unsure if I'll end up using them to get C2 Raiden, or if I'm simply going to save my guarantee along with my primo gems for the next patch. But we'll just have to wait and see, as we're only 20 pity in. Now, I know that C2 will be a really good stopping point for Raiden, but if I had the money, I would most likely go up to her C3 and maybe, just maybe, get her weapon. For C3, though not necessary, granted no constellation should ever be necessary in order for the character to be playable, it would still be pretty nice to have. As for her weapon, I know that there's a lot of free-to-play friendly weapons, and some of them, like the catch, even rivals her signature weapon. Also, normally I don't go for characters' weapons, or I'm very selective on the weapons I do wish for. But that was before they went and changed the fate points on the weapon banner, which I both love and hate that they changed it. I love the change because it should have always been one fate point from the very beginning. I think that it's absolutely crazy that not only did you have to lose your 50/50 twice, but you also had to lose to the other weapon on the banner before you even got the weapon that you wanted. Which means that when wishing on the weapon banner, A, you either don't care that you're going to get the other weapon, or B, you actively want both weapons on the banner. Now, as for the reason why I hate this change, simply put, it's now more tempting to wish on this banner. Now hear me out. It's basically just the same cost as a character banner. I only need to lose my 50/50 once, and even though that I might still get the other weapon, there's a good chance that I won't. Which is amazing, especially if I don't want the other weapon, like what happened when I was wishing for Arlecchino's weapon. I ended up getting 2 copies of Lenny's bow, and I didn't even have Lenny at the time. However, I do have to say that now that we don't need 2 fate points, if there's a banner where I want both of the weapons, I'll most likely end up having to spend more wishes now than before. Whereas now, I might have to spend 280 wishes to get both weapons. I say this because even though that the pity system has changed, I doubt my luck on the weapon banner has changed as well. So, I'm still expecting myself to lose pretty much every 50/50 on the weapon banner, as that's how it has always been. Now, we're getting close to the 50/50, but before we find out if I get C2 Raiden or not, I do want to share my brief thoughts on Natland. Now, where do I even start? Maybe exploration, as you technically actually have to step foot within Natland before you're able to do anything else. I really like the map design, as well as the different layers that it had. I love how colorful everything is, and I love how each section looks different, but is also very cohesive as well. Now, in terms of actually getting around Natlands, though the Saurians are really cute, I only use them when I absolutely must. Like, if I'm completing a challenge or when there's literally no way to get somewhere without using them. Now, this is personal preference, as I am someone who doesn't really like traveling around the map extremely fast. The only exception is when I'm visiting an area for the 100th time and I'm simply trying to get somewhere, like a commission or if I'm farming for materials. But other than that, I like taking the exploration slow, as I feel like if I'm zipping and flying around everywhere, I tend to miss the little details that make each area so special. Plus, if I'm speedrunning the area, sooner or later I'm going to find everything, and then I'm going to be left waiting until they add a new area, and that is no fun. However, with all of that being said, I'm glad they added it, as this way they can do different terrain, and they won't be limited to making sure that everything is climbable in such a short amount of time. Plus, it also gives an option for people who like zipping around the map or speedrunning areas. Though I do hope that it stays an option, something for people who want to use it, but not necessary to explore the area for people who don't want to use it. Now for the art conquest. I'm not going to go that in depth, mostly just sharing my surface level feelings, but some people may find that it still spoils some things, so if you don't want any information about the art conquest, just skip ahead until you see the gold shooting star. Now, with that being said, I'm sorry to say, but I found the art conquest quite boring. It did pick up on the second act, but not by much. Now, I might have found Natland's quest boring due to how strong and interesting Fontaine started off, so there's that, but I just found that the first act dragged on and on and on, though there were definitely moments where I thoroughly enjoyed the quest. Now at this point in my wishing, I did low-key run out of funds, but I knew that we were so close to the 50-50, so I ended up getting a Welkin, hoping that all I needed was just one more wish to get a 5-star. So, who will it be? And it's Raiden. I cannot believe that I won my 50-50. God, I am so glad that I got her C2 and that I don't have to wait another year to get a character's C2. Hints for one of my next wishing videos. Though I do have to say that it would have been a little bit nice to have a guarantee. That way I don't have to worry about my Primo Gem count or trying to gather up enough funds to get the characters that I want in 5.1. But regardless, I am still so happy that I won my 50-50. If you enjoyed this video, then don't forget to leave a like on your way out, and don't forget to subscribe, that way you'll be notified when I upload new wishing videos. But until then, see ya.